a beginner in the gym, chances are you're going to be making a lot of mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes. I'm going to be giving you the 4 most common mistakes and probably the 4 most detrimental mistakes that are going to stall your progress and prevent you from getting big. If you can avoid these, then I guarantee that you're going to experience great success early on. So the first thing I want to address, which seems to be the most common pitfall that a lot of people believe that they have, is diet. So you got to realize with diet, the biggest misconception that people have is, how perfect their diet is or how refined it is. That's a big misconception. With diet, it's not about what exactly you're eating. It's more so about how much you're eating and what you're willing to eat. With the gym and building muscle mass, diet is your fuel, and diet is also, on the back end, how you're going to grow. When you're trying to build muscle mass, when you're trying to bulk up and get big, it's all about eating enough. Way too many people get way too caught up in, how perfect their diet is, how refined it is, how clean their food is, what exactly they're putting in their mouths. Also, people are just too scared to bulk. They're too afraid of the little couple pounds of fat that they're going to gain when compared to the massive amounts of muscle mass and the frame change that they could experience. And so the biggest thing I notice is that people, they're just afraid to bulk, and because of that, they don't make any significant progress. Even they train for years, they go to the gym for years, and there's just no significant results. When I first started, I was also like that as well. I was like skinny fat, so I was really not wanting to put on any fat, especially because I wanted to play sports. I wanted to play soccer at the time. So I was like, I really can't afford to put on fat, but I still want to gain muscle. And so I was like trying to avoid carbs, and I was trying to eat, as lean as I could, as clean as I could. And in reality, that just ended up making it take way longer to reach my goals. If I could do it again, I would definitely just focus on the bulk at first. It wouldn't have really made me get that much more fat, and I would have seen results so much faster and so much better as well. All right, number 2 is consistency. So a lot of people get caught up, with hopping on the gym as like a fad. They're really hyped when they first start. They want to, achieve their goals, achieve their results, get their gym body. And so they might be really motivated to start. In fact, they might even go more than what you're supposed to go. But what happens is later on, as the weeks go by, they start missing days, especially when they don't feel like it or when they don't feel good. They start making excuses without realizing it. And, some weeks they might only go 1 or 2 days. In order to make significant progress in the gym, you need consistency. The times where I stalled in the gym, I didn't even realize it at the time. It's crazy, but the times where I was like, wait, I feel like I'm not really growing that well now. What's going on? And I thought about the last couple of weeks, the last maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Have I missed days? And the answer was always yes, whenever I wasn't making significant progress. But I noticed that whenever I actually made it my mission to go to the gym each of the prescribed days and hit my routine, it was like I was guaranteed to get results. I was guaranteed to go to build up. If I didn't miss a day in 3 weeks, I was guaranteed going to be bigger than I was 3 weeks ago. For me, this is like probably the biggest thing, and it is crazy because it took me like 2 whole years to actually realize that this is what I needed to do. Because before I thought it was more so just about growth stimulus and recovery. So I was like, okay, if I don't feel like it, if I'm feeling really sore, maybe I can skip the gym. But as soon as I started making my mission to stay consistent, that's when I always saw gains. As long as I stayed consistent, didn't make an excuse, didn't have any problems, I saw gains. If you want to see gains, you got to stay consistent. All right, number 3 is your intensity in the gym. So this is all-time important. This separates, great lifters from just average lifters, and this is also what prevents people from growing as well. A lot of those really soft people who maybe they show up to the gym and they're actually, very diligent about everything else, but they just can't bring themselves to push themselves hard enough. It's your intensity. So for me, I felt like, I was able to push myself hard enough, but the issue was I wasn't doing it all the time. For example, I might be more likely to push myself extremely hard on exercises that I really liked, that I found fun, like the bench press. And sometimes it just depends on my mood too. Some days I felt really motivated, and some days I was just showing up because I knew I had to do that. Guys, if you want to experience growth, you need to dial up the intensity. You need to actually get to muscular failure, not to the point where you feel really tired or it starts to burn. You need to actually lift the weight until you can no longer lift that weight with all of your strength. Gun to your head, you cannot lift your weight. For $1 million, you cannot do one more rep. That's how hard you have to train, to the point where you cannot do one more rep. Growth is only achieved in the last 3 reps of the set. So if you stop before that point, you are not going to experience growth. You've just maintained your muscles. If you actually want to grow, you need to push yourself to the point of failure. You need to push yourself. Those last 2 reps, those are where you're going to actually experience the most amount of growth. It's not linear. Like if you can do 10 reps and you only do 5, it's not, you're not getting half the gains. You're getting 0 gains. The growth is only experienced at the end. If you're like me and you had that issue where, sometimes you're pushing yourself, or like, let's say 70% of the time I was able to push myself really hard, but 30% of the time I was just showing up. What you need to do is you need to track your movements, the weight you're doing. This is going to happen naturally if you stay consistent. But what you do is you track it so that, on the days where sometimes you don't feel like doing it, you might realize like halfway through the set, usually you might terminate it then, because it's like you feel quite exhausted, but then you realize you have another 5 reps in you. On another day you did 5 more reps. So it creates that intensity even if you don't have it naturally on that day. It like creates it for you. It's like you have to get to that point that you're able to. All right, the last point is recovery. So I had this issue near the beginning. So with the push-pull leg routine, you might notice like on the first day of the gym, you might not feel like going. You might have to like kind of bring yourself to go. You force yourself to go. But as you do it, you get to day 1, day 2, day 3. By the 4th day, I noticed that it's like you almost want to go more than you don't want to go. But it's like that's the day you shouldn't go, because that's like it's your rest day. You've gone 3 days in a row now, so now you have to take a day off. And one of the biggest things for me was like, okay, I really feel like going. Maybe I should just go now, and then I can rest later. It's just like I can like backlog my progress. I can like take the rest days later. But every time I did that, I would always feel some kind of injury coming on within the next week. I would always feel it. Like usually it was like something minor, like some kind of like muscle strain or like joint ache that would maybe like set me back 1 week. I realized after some time that when I took the rest, even though I felt like going to the gym and I felt like if I didn't go to the gym, I was wasting gains that day. What ended up happening was it was just so much better for my recovery, and I didn't get injured, and I made progress a lot faster that way. And so rest days are absolutely crucial. Don't skip your rest and recovery. You need it in order to grow and in order to not get injured. Anyways, guys, with that being said, that's going to bring us towards the end of this video. Avoid these mistakes in the gym. If you do, you'll make so much better progress than I did. With that being said, guys, drop the video a like if you did, subscribe if you're not already, drop a comment, share your thoughts, ask any questions. I'll see you in the next video.